Hey nerds, what's up? So I've been thinking a lot recently about the term magic system because I feel like it has really exploded in our fantasy zeitgeist recently, especially when I look at conversations on Reddit around discussions of recommendations for good fantasy magic systems, or how we talk about fantasy books, or even in self-published spheres in writing books in what's my magic system like and how defined does your magic system have to be. And I was just thinking about this, like, where did the term magic system start in terms of describing the magic we see in fantasy? And has this term become more popular in recent conversations, or has it always been popular? And if it has come to the forefront recently, why is that? And is it good or detrimental for fantasy discussions as a whole? Now, full disclosure, the term magic system, for various reasons I'll talk later, was a really hard thing to research. So I wouldn't call this video a concrete research video. I would call this video more of a discussion starter, a theory video, where I'm going to offer some ideas of things I've seen and would really love to know what you guys think, because there aren't concrete answers. Now, before we jump into this topic, let's just quickly address that yes, I have a different background than I normally do. If you follow me on Instagram, you might have seen that we are building a wall of bookshelves in my office. That's usually the background of my videos. So yes, the shield will be back, the books will be back. Right now, my office is just a construction zone. So I am currently filming from my kids' Harry Potter reading nook that is under our stairs. So yes, just for the time being. Without further ado, let's talk about magic systems after the jump. Now, magic as a principle and an idea has been around forever, and the etymology of that word and the study of that word is well documented. However, when we add the word system to it is when things become a little murkier and harder to research. From the best that I can tell, the term magic system originates from RPGs and other fantasy games. A system is specifically needed to outline rules, abilities, and limitations of using magic within games. This makes a lot of sense, because if we are playing a game together, we need pretty defined rules of how you can use that magic so that the game doesn't get out of control, or you don't get overpowered, or there is just a way to actually play a game, because it needs to be defined. So the thing is all the research about magic systems is really tied up in the gamification of magic. And the problem with that is that I want to discuss magic systems in the literary sphere. And once we get there, the research kind of dries up. Honestly, my theory is that Brandon Sanderson is the one that actually popularized using the term magic system to describe magic and fantasy. I think this specifically because he does have that famous essay that popularized using the words hard and soft to describe magic, and he himself is obviously known for books that have incredibly detailed magic systems that follows rules and limitations, much like a fantasy game. And as he has exploded in popularity, it would only make sense for the fantasy community at large to take notice and shift in response to that. I have talked a lot about how popular books and series will often create a shift in what's coming out next. Now, where I may differ from a lot of people in this discussion is that I think we overuse the term magic system a lot. I don't think any magic in a book is a system. In my opinion, a magic system, even in the literary sense, should still be something that defines abilities, rules, and limitations. That means, in my personal definition of a magic system, that not all fantasy books with magic have a magic system. I've noticed a lot over time in other research projects, but particularly in this research project, that so many articles written about magic systems talk about, hey, here are the most popular examples of magic systems, and then they list Harry Potter, Lord of the Rings, and A Song of Ice and Fire. 3 books that I would say do not have magic systems, but do have magic in general. Now let's take Harry Potter as an easy example, since I'm guessing most of my audience is very familiar with Harry Potter in one way or another. Can you honestly define limitations, rules, and abilities easily with Harry Potter? My guess is you can't. Sure, you need a wand, except those occasional times where you don't. through the Harry Potter series, which, by the way, I love. I'm a huge fan. I'm sitting in a Harry Potter under my stairs reading room, okay? But of all things, I mean, even Sanderson uses that in his hard and soft magic system, how the magic in Harry Potter is very undefined. Characters gain abilities all the time. The rules change for how you use it. There is no really defined limitations to the magic in Harry Potter. It just is. And it's similar in Lord of the Rings. Even though in Lord of the Rings we have very defined lore and history, the magic is kind of an unknown. Gandalf can do things and can't do things. Usually the way that Lord of the Rings deals with magic is to make it cause problems as often as it solves them, or to make the people with magic like Gandalf disappear for a while. You couldn't necessarily make a list of rules and regulations for the magic in Lord of the Rings. Similar to Harry Potter, it just kind of is. Now, compare that to Sanderson. Let's just talk about Mistborn. In Mistborn, we have a very defined sense of magic. There are a certain number of metals. Each has a name and a specific ability. You know which ability each character can use. They must ingest a metal to use the ability. When the metal is burned up, they cannot use it. Each of these things is defined, written out, and everything and everyone follows those rules. You generally cannot be surprised by magic in a Sanderson book because the magic is too clearly defined. Now, other books do use magic systems. One that easily comes to mind would be Brent Weeks' Lightbringer series, which is maybe not quite as defined as Sanderson, but gets pretty close. It has the rules and regulations and pretty defined uses and non-uses of that magic. So why does this matter? Why am I talking about it? I just think that we're getting too caught up in defining everything as a magic system. When a new series comes out, people are asking, well, what's the system? And I think a lot of books don't have a system. They're just kind of magical, vaguely, or even not vaguely. They're really magical, but it's not defined. And I don't actually think there is this huge advantage or disadvantage to that. I think it just is. I think some books work really, really well with a very defined magic system that's going to tell you limitations and abilities, and I think other books work really well with it not. I mean, I'm a huge Brandon Sanderson fan, and as you guys have seen recently, I've become obsessed with A Song of Ice and Fire. And I think their approaches to magic are incredibly different, right? George's approach to magic is much more kind of out there. You never quite know, are things real? Are they not? Are they magical? Are they not? There's clearly magic, but we don't have these set rules and limitations. Whereas in, the Stormlight Archive, which I love, it's all very defined into orders and sects, and we can practice and know exactly what's going to happen. Both of these have their place and can tell amazing stories. I think, though, that it's a little silly to pretend that every book has a system or that it even should. I just feel like there's no use getting mad at a series if it doesn't define the magic system, if it doesn't need one. Does that make sense? So the point, once again, a question I have to ask at every video that I make. So maybe I'm quibbling too much over words. Who cares if people use the word magic system to describe magic in general? I think I just get tired of buzzwords being used over and over again, and maybe trying to pigeonhole fantasy to be specific things, especially when that pigeonholing comes because of a wave of popularity. Once again, couldn't be a bigger Sanderson fan. It's just that we don't need all of our series to be Sanderson. We don't need all of the things to attempt to copy what's popular if it's not going to work for your series. And I think that's also perhaps damaging to want to new up and coming authors, especially since I'm very involved in the self-published sphere, who might get overly concerned with everything has to be perfectly defined. I think there are some rules to follow. I actually do love Sanderson's essay on hard and soft magic. If you haven't read it, I highly recommend it. I think he makes a lot of good points. But even in that essay, he talks about how things break those rules and still work fabulously, right? With fantasy, it's just, there's just so many different ways to do it. And I just always never want to get so caught up in the certain ways things are done. Anyway, I would love to hear your guys' opinion on this. Do you think we are overly concerned with magic system today? Do you agree with that? Do you care? Are you getting annoyed with talking about it? I know some people don't really love the scientification of magic and just prefer kind of the Lord of the Rings all over the place magic. So is this particularly bothering you? If you're a huge Sanderson fan, do you wish everything was like that? I don't know, just give me your thoughts below. I hope this was an interesting conversation. It's just something I have been thinking a lot about. Please tell me your thoughts in the comments below. If you like these kind of random deep dives, please like and subscribe. That is the best way to support me. And if you want to see what I'm currently reading, as well as other nerdy rants or updates on my office bookshelves, you can follow me at Instagram, bookborn.reviews. I'll see you next time. Bye.